Now, this was a distribution with only one parameter, theta. Let's consider distributions with more than one parameter. Back to our temperature modeling example. So suppose that we want to model the distribution of temperatures in Waterloo, and we recorded these following observations. Assume, again, we're going to have these observations. I'm going to assume that the temperatures follow some distribution. In this case, I'm going to call it a Gaussian distribution. And Gaussian distributions come with two parameters. They come with mean and standard deviation, or the squared version of the variance. And what we're going to try to do is, through a similar process, find the best values of the mean and the variance that correspond to the observations that we have. So first, what is a Gaussian distribution? A Gaussian distribution looks something like this, with a scary looking expression up here, 1 over square root of 2 pi times the standard deviation and exponentiation of some, distance from the mean normalized, squared. And it looks something like the bell curve that we have up here. Now, within machine learning, we use Gaussians a lot because they make a lot of our calculations easy, especially once we apply the log function to it, because exponentiations go away and multiplications become sums. But also, you see the Gaussian distribution showing up a lot in a lot of different places. For instance, the central limit theorem from statistics says that the sum of a lot of independent random variables, where the random variables themselves can have any distribution, some of them, or equivalently the average of them, also follows a Gaussian distribution. And so there's a lot that can be said about different distributions based on the average value of random variables of any distribution. So let's go back to our example. We have, once again, the observations here. We've assumed a particular model family, and this family has two parameters that we're trying to estimate via MLE. If I write out the log version of the expression we saw on the previous slide, given some number of IID observations, in this case a data set with n observations, then I get this expression here, which is the log over the product of the likelihood of individual trials. And similar to before, and we'll see this in a couple of slides, if you take the derivative once with respect to the mean and another time with respect to the standard deviation, lo and behold, you get closed form expressions for the maximum likelihood estimator of the mean of a Gaussian distribution based on your observations, and the maximum likelihood estimator of the standard deviation of a Gaussian distribution based on your observations. So this is great. Even though the first expression was scary, it still gives us some closed form things to work with. What are the assumptions that I've made here again? Can someone help me just review the assumptions that I've made?
So one of the assumptions is that the distribution is Gaussian.
Okay, so I've made an assumption of the model family, which means it's Gaussian. It has two parameters. Yes, Parsa?
Yeah, I was about to say the same thing.
Okay, what else have I assumed?
IID data.
Right, so I assume that my data is IID. That's a very common assumption within machine learning, but we should still not ignore the fact that we're assuming that each of our trials are independently of one another. Just like in the case, many times it holds valid when you're flipping coins. As long as in one flip you don't damage the coin in a certain way, then they're going to be IID, right? As long as the coin remains the same. Any other assumptions, or what else am I given within this expression here? I'm given the data, right? I'm given the observations. I've assumed the model family. I've assumed IID data. I've gone through the math, and I got the closed form expressions for the mean and standard deviation of this parametric model. Okay, now I'm probably going to skip over the details here, most of it at least, but it's straightforward. Basically, what I'm doing is I'm just going through the step-by-step formulation of how I obtain the closed form expressions for the maximum likelihood estimator of the mean and that of the standard deviation. So here I'm assuming that I have two different classes corresponding to the subscript C. And notice that my different classes can have different set of parameters as well. So I could have one pair of mean and standard deviation for the first class, if I'm doing binary classification, let's say, and one pair of mean and standard deviation for another class. And that's fine. I'm going to fit these to different data altogether. So I have a data set. Now back to the supervised problem, trying to do maximum likelihood estimation on it. And I have a binary target. And all I need to do before trying to fit my Gaussians is that I'm going to put all of the data from class 1 into one bucket. And I'm going to call those observations of class 1. And I'm going to put all the observations of the second class in the second bucket. And I'm going to call those observations of class 2. And then I'm going to do MLE estimation on each of these separately. Right? Okay. So just as before, again, all the details are here. All the assumptions step by step is here for you to review on your own time. But I'm going to write the probability of making these observations of a particular class as this expression here. I've assumed IID data. I've then assumed normally distributed data. And then I'm going to take the log of it. And finally, I get an even scarier expression on the bottom of the page. And I want to find the optimal point of it, so I can take the derivatives and set those derivatives to 0 to find the values of mean and standard deviation. Working through the mean gives us the expression that we saw earlier. Working through the value of the variance gives us another expression that we saw earlier. So putting it all together, the maximum likelihood estimates of the Gaussian distribution parameters modeling one class, either C1 or C0 or CK for the multi-class case, can be written in generality as these expressions here. So I'm saying that I'm iterating over all the instances such that the target value of those instances correspond to that particular class. And that gives me the mean value of one of the classes. And also for standard deviation, and I can rinse and repeat. Any questions so far? Okay. Yes, Shima.
Sorry, I think it's a stupid question, but how the IID assumption is consistent with using the previous data to estimate the next values in the future?
Mm-hmm. That's a very good question. So how do we've assumed IID, meaning that each of the trials that we've observed are independent of one another. So why is it that I can, use any information from past observations for future predictions? That's your question. Yes, you. And on an intuitive level, that is a contradiction. But IID means that, well, the reason for this really is that the distribution from which our data is sampled, IID, that underlying distribution is assumed to not change over time either. If that distribution shifts or changes, then there's really not much we can say about past observations giving us something useful for future predictions. And that's and this is a fundamental question, so I applaud you for the question. This is a fundamental assumption we make in machine learning, which is based on some history and observations of the world, how do I predict something about the future? It's very easy to assume that nothing changes in the distribution, and we come up with some models. The more realistic assumption is that things change, but they change in certain ways that we also understand, and we can then learn something on history and guess based on the changes that we assume, again, another assumption, then how the predictions might be in the future. But IID and distribution shift are two related but independent concepts themselves. So yes, we assume that the distribution remains the same, and while it remains the same, we still sample IID from that, each of our observations. Yes, Guru.
I think I'm missing something here. This slide shows the mean and the standard deviation, right?
Mm-hmm.
And shouldn't these be very intuitive, both of these results? Or is there something that I'm missing? Why is it not trivial?
Why is it not trivial? Well, first of all, you have great intuition. But one of the reasons probably that it seems or it doesn't seem trivial is that because the expressions for the estimators, the maximum likelihood estimators of the mean and the standard deviation, are what we've been commonly using to actually define the mean and the standard deviation
Right.
of the Gaussian distribution. So that's we haven't been calling it MLE in most of our statistics courses, but it really is MLE. So if we have a set of observations and we try to guess the best fit parameters of a Gaussian distribution that fit those observations, that is the process of doing MLE. And we've always just been given these expressions, but really behind it is the concept of deriving a likelihood function, assuming IID, so taking the product, taking the log, making it a sum, making the scary expression a bit less scary and then a bit more scary, and then deriving derivatives and then setting them to 0, and then this is what comes out. All of that was abstracted away for us in our statistics courses. That's why it looks so familiar.
Right. Okay, thank you.
Yeah, no problem.